Yo yo yo, Johnny Anarchy here. I have some news for the viewers of my channel. I got some mostly good news and some bad news depending on the viewer of my channel, I guess. Now, I would never make a video like this, but it's important for me to share so later when I start to make different types of content, people won't get confused, hopefully. So a quick TLDR. There's going to be more frequent uploads and more diverse videos. However, some of those videos might not be VR content. That's the short and sweet of it. I also want to share some personal shit with what's left of my fan base. I'm also going to talk a lot more about the future of this channel, but to clarify, this is still mainly a VR channel. I'm still going to cover new VR games that I'm interested in. So for my VR viewers out there, don't fucking worry homies. As you can see, I'm playing a VR game. And this is my main VR game that I'm going to make videos on for the time being or until I find something better. So for the foreseeable future, Forefront is the game that I'll be covering. So you may ask yourself, why am I doing this? In a few words, I'm selling out. Essentially, even though I'm a huge fan of VR, I also want to grow as a YouTuber. Therefore, it's time for me to switch up the content. I can't have my cake and eat it too, and I really wanted to keep this channel as a VR only gaming channel, but VR isn't popping, nor is it growing in popularity as much as I want it to. Most VR games are not that great at all, they're just half-baked slop. Even if there's a half decent VR game that gets released, it's hard to make content on it because most VR games end up dying in popularity and shutting down no matter the quality. While on top of that, VR game releases are few and far between with little to no advertising. Of course, there are actually really good VR games that persevere, like Forefront, being super popular at the moment and having a bright future in the VR community. Even though we've seen successful games in the VR community, I thought by now that VR would be a lot more mainstream, but it's not. And personally, I blame Meta. My VR passion is slowly draining from me due to crappy yet enjoyable VR games that are stuck in development hell or end up as massive disappointments. Those are just some of the reasons why I'm moving away from making VR content, among other things that I'm about to get into. As of recently, I've been dealing with all types of personal problems, from mental health to economical hardship. Sadly, I'm not the only one dealing with money problems. Most Americans are currently. And the orange retard that we call a president is to blame for. But I digress. My job is total fucking dog shit. I fucking hate it, and in the time that I've been at that company, only 4 employees have lasted since I've been there, including me. Everybody else is new and they don't last long. The turnover is insanely high at that shithole of a job, and that right there should tell you how shitty things are for me. It looks like it's time for me to find a solution through YouTube. At this point, YouTube is starting to look like my only hope financially. I'll explain in further detail later in this video. Let's move on to the next subject, which is the main update coming to this channel. Okay homies, here are the main updates in detail. There are 3 types of videos that I plan on making. One type of video is a quickly made, minimal commentary and editing gameplay video of whatever game that I'm enjoying at the time that I will try to post once a week. For an example, you guys seen me post the Star Wars Battlefront gameplay already. That's what I mean by something easy for me to post in quick succession. In all honesty, I don't like making these types of videos, but I feel like I need to start uploading more long form types of videos just to feed the algorithm and get more eyes on the channel. The second type of video is basically a higher quality type of video with more effort behind it, like writing a script and doing voiceovers and doing a hell of a lot more editing. So when a new VR or a regular flat screen game comes out that really interests me, I'll post this type of video. Also, I've been posting these types of videos for most of my time doing YouTube. When it comes to the content, there's no real change there. I just thought I should mention it. The last type of video is one of the reasons why I'm making this video in the first place, because as soon as I post this new kind of video, my subscribers are going to be like, what the fuck is this? So the type of video that I want to make are a little obscure, serious, but funny. For example, one of the video series I'm planning on making is on UFOs, and I'm going to cover it in a skeptical and funny way. I'm going to stop myself right there because I want to save that subject matter for that video. But yeah, if this UFO video gets a decent amount of views, then I'll make more and make this into a whole ass series. There's other subject matters I would like to make into videos, like shit that's happening around the world. It could be serious political shit, or it could be as stupid as internet drama. These videos are super ambitious, so I'm gonna try my very best to post one per month. I'm definitely going to do some movie review videos too. In the future, once I feel more confident in my video making skills, I want to do more ambitious videos. Here's my goal with YouTube. I want to evolve into the VR version of my favorite YouTube hero, General Sam. His editing style is off the motherfucking chain. If you ever seen his videos, then you know what I'm talking about. His intros are super fucking cool. Sadly, I need to hit 1,000 subs because I would like to be paid by YouTube so I can reinvest into my videos. Once I get some money, and if I can do YouTube full time, I want to make crazy cool shit like more animations, music for my channel, and longer live streams, like 10-hour daily type shit. I'm a little more than halfway there. I just need to grind it out, man, and just spam as many videos as I can while being a full-time worker. If I'm successful in the far future, you'll see me pump out different types of content with higher quality. I would love to do non-gameplay videos, or I guess live action videos to put it in layman's terms or whatever. What I want to do is make gun content, or maybe even 3D printed out gun videos. Another thing I want to do is make VR cinematics similar to Hardcore Henry, but just in VR. This might be something that I am able to do sooner rather than later. I'm currently experimenting with that, but we'll have to see. Alright, here's some backstory that I decided to tell you guys. Originally, I made this channel because I mainly wanted to find more people to play VR games with. When I first started to do content on VR, the VR community was tiny and niche and mostly broken up between games. But there was one VR game that seemed to unify the VR player base, and that game was Ghost of Tabor. One of the biggest games that brought me viewers to my channel was Tabor. Now, I'll admit that I achieved my goals because I did find people to play VR games with through Tabor. However, at one point when streaming Tabor, it felt like I was trapped with a crazy ex-girlfriend that was sprung on my cock, or it felt like some Stockholm Syndrome type shit. My passion for making VR content was fleeting with every Tabor live stream, but I continued because I felt like I was obligated to play the game and make content on it, due to the fact that I gained a following through Tabor when I should have stopped playing that goddamn game as soon as I started to hate it. The fatigue was real. There were other better options out there, and I would make content on other VR games, but as soon as I posted a non-Tabor video, I saw that it didn't do as well compared to the Tabor videos when it came to views, and to add insult to injury, I would even lose subscribers, which would demotivate me from branching out to other VR games or subject matter. In hindsight, I should have fought against that urge, and I should have just rolled with the punches. That's the reason why I really never finished my Resident Evil 2 VR series, because I wasn't really getting any views or subs from those videos, and I would work so damn hard on a Resident Evil 2 VR video just for it to get 50 views or some shit like that, while a Tabor video would give me decent amount of views and subs for a fraction of the work, which I now know was a mistake to quit making videos that I was passionate about. I have learned that if you want to be successful on YouTube, you need genuine passion for the subject matter while being consistent with uploading videos and trusting the YouTube algorithm to find the audience. So when I eventually go back to making Resident Evil in VR videos, I won't give up as easily, and I will be patient because I now know that I will eventually gain the audience. Let's talk about the current state of VR. In short, I think it's pretty bad right now. Let me be clear now. I don't think VR is dying or anything like that, but VR is definitely in a stagnant place currently. I do think that is the main problem with VR, and I believe Meta is to blame. The Meta monopoly over VR users and developers has mostly been harmful to the growth of VR gaming. Don't get me wrong, I do think the Oculus Quest is a great starting point for beginners or a great gateway drug for people to get into VR. But this primarily works for the youngsters. However, for the older crowd, it's a different story. When they use a Meta Quest and try out all the vaporware and the game slop that are out there, it just turns them off to VR. It's easier to impress a fucking child that doesn't know better than an adult that doesn't tolerate bugs and glitches while also being in a game with 20-year-old graphics. It feels like you were teleported to a PS2 game, which isn't impressive. You want to be teleported into a game that was made in 2026, you know what I'm saying? Here's an example I hope you understand. When Ghost of Tabor was exclusively on the PC, when it first came out, the game looked ambitious and exciting because the game had little minute details that you saw throughout the map. Needless to say that the graphics looked better, but when they started to appeal to the Oculus users, the game started to look like total dog shit just so it could run on the Oculus Quest. Sure, Tabor looks decent now, but just imagine if it stayed exclusively to the PC, the game wouldn't have so many bugs. It could have looked something more like Escape from Tarkov instead of looking like some fucking Milsim game from Roblox. The Quest VR headset series are just overpriced smartphones that you strap onto your face. If a game runs on your mother's smartphone, then it can run on the Oculus Quest. That's why I think VR is not progressing as much. PC VR is where it's at. And I've been saying that for a very long time now, at least 5 years. That's how fucking long I've been hating on Oculus Quest, holy shit. I know I sound like a fucking asshole, I'm not trying to gatekeep VR, but I want to see it grow. If you want to impress people and get them into VR, then you show them games like Half-Life Alyx or VR mods for any of the GTA games. That's how the VR industry grows. However, it's expensive and it's going to take a long motherfucking time for VR shit to become affordable. One last thing I want to add when it comes to the subject. Even very good, well-made games feel like tech demos. They don't feel like full games, you know what I'm saying? I think the hardware is already there. I just think we need to work more on the software. Hopefully you understand why I'm making less VR content from now on. If VR were popping, then the motivation would have been there to make those videos. But sadly, VR isn't popping or even mainstream. Now, I love battle royales. I mean, my very first video on this channel was a new battle royale. At least at the time, it was a new battle royale. And because I like battle royales, it's easy for me to get into extraction shooters, even though I've never really been a huge fan of them. Battle royales and extraction shooters are kind of the same thing. Not really. Recently, I realized that I'm gaining a real hatred towards VR extraction shooters, especially for Contractor Showdown. Well, why is that? I am sick and tired of games like Exozone and Tabor treating their player base like a bunch of lab rats that are constantly getting probed in the ass forcefully and unwillingly, or at least that's how it feels like. With every update comes a new set of bugs that we, the players, have to suffer through and wait for the devs to patch that shit up. It's fucking tiring. The devs have the benefit of hiding behind the fact that they're in the alpha stage, and both games don't seem like they're going to be in a stable or try and true state anytime soon. The Escape from Tarkov blueprint is literally right fucking there. just copy and paste. I understand that development takes time. However, both games are milking us dry, and not in the good way, if you know what I'm saying. As for me, I'm done being a guinea pig or a lab rat or whatever the fuck. So you're not going to see me play either of those games for a very long time. Doing a 360 and going back to the Battle Royale subject, I feel like I got scammed because I paid for Contractor Showdown, a Battle Royale game in VR that did a motherfucking bait and switch, and now I ended up with another fucking VR extraction shooter. Just my motherfucking luck. I am deeply disappointed with the people at Caveman Studios. I used to have them in high regards, and I could say the same thing with the people at what's that other game studio called, Waffle House Studios or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I'm done with both of them. They're both really fucking annoying. I'm gonna go into some personal shit right now. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's really hard for me to make VR content, especially when I have a lot of technical difficulties with my controllers breaking down and all of that. Another difficulty that I have is dealing with depression. Over a year ago, I was diagnosed with MDD. Now, I know it sounds like some type of STD, but it's arguably worse than that. MDD stands for Major Depressive Disorder. Luckily for me, I also have high functioning depression, so I don't have the entire debuff. After years of having this, I realized that I have to be the one who fights to be happy. Happiness does not come from the blue. You create it by working hard towards something, and you don't stop until you find happiness. The sad thing about having depression is that it feels like you're stuck in the dark, and every time you start looking for the light, the search takes a very long time, and you use up all your energy and motivation, and then finally you end up failing once again, and you're back to square one. And that's how I felt for the last 3 years. I can't allow myself to stop searching for the light because I'll end up being consumed by the darkness. That's why there's been a lack of uploads, because it's hard to be creative while also struggling with depression. But things are going to change. Usually I wouldn't talk about shit like this because it can become ammunition for the random haters that are all over the internet. But I always appreciate when a person or content creator that I follow is open about their struggles, because it makes me feel like I'm not alone in the darkness. I used to take antidepressants, but I stopped. Sure, they fixed my emotions, however, they didn't fix my life. So it was a big fat net zero, because I was still trapped at this shit job that was not only stressful, but it was also absolutely degrading. I'm telling you, the shit I have to deal with day to day is just fucking lame. Those fucking pills also destroyed my creativity for making videos too. That's why all of last year I rarely uploaded videos. So it's time for me to take this YouTube shit more seriously, and I deeply want to make videos that are truly interesting and funny. I have to manifest my dreams by working really hard, and if I have to do it in a way where it's not perfect, then so be it. But I can't make content that I don't enjoy making anymore. So if I really like a game that I am playing, then for sure I'm going to make content on it and try my very best to spam videos out. And that's what I mean by selling out, because I don't want to put out low effort videos just to feed the algorithm. But I'm going to have to, at least temporarily, until I can make money off of YouTube. Trust me, I want to put more effort into the videos that I make, but at the moment, I don't have the time to make the effort. I think that made sense, and I hope you guys understand now. I felt compelled to make this video just as a way of declaring that I'm now dedicated to making this YouTube shit work out. Thank you for listening until the end. That's it for now. See you later, homies.